And Salaam Alaikum! Welcome to Ramadan Books in Nadia's Nook. Today, we're reading The Reason for the Seasons by Ellie Peterson. This book talks about why we have different seasons. Because Ramadan follows a lunar calendar, the season that Ramadan is in changes over time. Where I live, Ramadan was in the summer a few years ago, but now it's in the spring. Do you guys know why we have different seasons? Me neither. Let's learn. So come on, join me in your jammies and grab your favorite cuddly friend because it's time for Ramadan Books, Ramadan Books, Ramadan Books in Nadia's Nook. Welcome back to my Nook, everyone. Are you guys all comfy in your jammies? Great, me too. Who's ready to read? Bismillah, let's begin. The Reason for the Seasons by Ellie Peterson. The seasons. I'll bet you know all about them. How many there are, what they're called, when they occur. You might even have a favorite. But do you know what causes the seasons in the first place? Perhaps you think it's that the earth is closer to the sun in summer and farther from the sun in winter. The sun is much larger than shown here and is much further away from Earth. If the earth was this size, the sun would be the size of a bus and it would be 8 football fields away. Unfortunately, we can't show you the actual size of the sun because this book is not that big. After all, you're usually warmer when you're closer to a source of heat. If we had summer because Earth was closer to the sun during those months, then our whole planet would have summer at the same time. But it doesn't! When it's cold and snowy in the northern hemisphere, it's downright balmy in the southern hemisphere. They have opposite seasons. Hello, Julia. Having a nice sunny day, sweetie? Not exactly, Grandma. The imaginary line around the middle of the Earth is called the equator. The part of the planet north of it is called the northern hemisphere, and the part south of it is the southern hemisphere. In fact, the Earth is slightly closer to the sun in January and slightly farther from the sun in July. That means that in the northern hemisphere, Earth is closest to the sun in winter. Seems strange, but it's true. Or maybe you think we have seasons because the Earth rotates. It would seem to make sense that the side that faces the sun has summer and the side that doesn't face the sun has winter. We often connect light with warmth and dark with cold. In order to complete one rotation in 24 hours, the Earth spins 1,000 miles per hour. We don't feel the Earth moving as it rotates because the speed is constant. If Earth suddenly stopped moving, we would definitely feel it. Nope, that's not it either. Rotation is actually the cause of day and night. The Earth rotates once every 24 hours. The side of the Earth that faces the sun has day, and the side that faces away from the sun has night. If rotation were the cause of the seasons, we'd have all 4 seasons in a single day. So what is the reason for the seasons, you ask? Our planet is tilted. Imagine a pole that passes through the Earth from north to south. This is called Earth's axis. Instead of being straight up and down, it's tipped 23.5 degrees. If Earth wasn't tilted, we would have no seasons at all. Scientists think that Earth became tilted when a meteor the size of Mars hit it, way back when our planet was first formed. And it's not just us. Uranus is tilted sideways, and Venus is tilted upside down, causing it to spin backwards. Earth's tilt affects how directly the light from the sun hits us. For instance, a spotlight puts out a very strong hot light when it shines on you. As you change the angle of the spotlight, the light appears dimmer. The light also feels cooler. This is because the same amount of light has to spread over a larger area. Earth's tilt is also why shadows are different lengths throughout the seasons. They're the shortest in summer because the sun is higher in the sky, just like that hot spotlight overhead. The shadows grow a little longer in the fall. Your shadow is the longest in the winter because the sun is so low. Then your shadow shortens again in the spring. Wondering what the Earth's tilt looks like from space? The northern hemisphere has summer when it is tilted toward the sun, and the sun's light is most direct. At the same time, the southern hemisphere has winter when the sun's light is least direct. When the southern hemisphere is tilted toward the sun, it has summer, and the northern hemisphere experiences winter. When you look at Earth's orbit from the side, it looks like an oval. But from above, looking down on Earth's north pole, the orbit appears more like a circle. However, many people mistakenly draw that view from above like an oval, showing the Earth really close at one end and really far away at the other. This incorrect drawing has led many people to believe that summer occurs when Earth is closest to the sun, instead of when the rays of light are most direct. Imagine a world where the sun never sets. The Arctic Circle is known as the land of the midnight sun for this very reason. When the northern hemisphere has summer, the area near the North Pole is tilted so much toward the sun that on certain days it never gets dark. People who live in the Arctic Circle may go 2 or more months without seeing the sun set. The opposite happens in the winter. On certain days, the Arctic Circle gets no light at all. It's 24 hours of darkness. The North and South Poles experience seasons as well, but they still stay pretty cold because the sun's rays are too indirect to make them much warmer. In another region, closer to the equator, the light from the sun is very direct, and there is little change in the amount of light energy all year long. This area is called the tropics, and these countries don't experience big changes in temperature from season to season, like the rest of the world. Scientists drew 2 imaginary lines around the Earth to show where the tropics are located. The line south of the equator is the Tropic of Capricorn. The line north of the equator is the Tropic of Cancer. Throughout our whole history, people have relied on the seasons to mark time in the passing of each year. However, the way they define them is based on where they live and can vary greatly. Many islands and coastal areas have extra seasons, like pre-spring and high summer. Areas around the equator have a rainy season and a dry season. The Incas, an ancient civilization that lived south of the equator, identified and based their calendar on 2 seasons, planting and harvest. There are many ways to think of the seasons, but only one thing that causes them, the tilt of the Earth. Believing that Earth is closer to the sun in the summer is logical, it makes sense, but that doesn't make it right. A good scientist always questions what she thinks she knows. different seasons? I think so too. How many seasons are there where you live? Where I live, we have 4 seasons. What season is it for you right now? For me, it's spring. Stay tuned for the very end where I'm showing a bonus science experiment. Inshallah, I can't wait to see you guys all tomorrow night when we read another book in my Nook. Until then, good night and sweet dreams. Now that you understand that the cause of the seasons is Earth's tilt and not its distance from the sun, how can you demonstrate that to others? Try this. What you'll need: a flashlight, a white piece of paper, a pencil. Step 1. Darken the room. Hold your flashlight about 6 inches above the white paper. Trace around the lit region that appears on the paper. Label this circle number 1 and note its brightness. Step 2. Angle the flashlight slightly. Make sure it's still about 6 inches above the paper. Trace around this lit region and label it number 2. Do you notice that the light looks dimmer and is taking up more space? Step 3. Continue this a few more times, angling the light more, but keeping it the same distance above the paper. As the flashlight angle increases, you'll see that the lit region continues getting larger and dimmer. What's happening here? You're showing how indirect, more angled rays of light give less energy or warmth than those that are direct. The flashlight always emits the same amount of light energy, but as you change its angle, the light covers more area on the paper. The same thing happens with the sun and the earth. The sun always emits the same amount of light energy, but because the earth is tilted, some areas receive direct light overhead and some receive indirect light at an angle. As a result, the areas that receive direct light are warmer and those that have indirect light are cooler. Have fun experimenting, and don't forget that the obvious answer isn't always the correct one. A good scientist always questions her assumptions. That was fun! See you tomorrow!